This video is about Thor clashes with Jörmungand in Midgard, but a mysterious fog descends. If this myth excites you, please like the video, share it with friends, and write in the comments how it pulls you into the adventure. In the heart of Midgard, where the pulse of the earth throbs beneath the feet of mortals, the whispers of doom coil through the winds. It was not long before the sun surrendered its golden light, retreating behind dark clouds that loom like the angry faces of the gods. Thunder rumbled in the distance, a portent of the clash yet to come. Thor, the thunder god, stood upon a rocky precipice overlooking a village beset by fear. The people below, mere mortals, had caught whispers of a monstrous serpent rising from the depths of the sea. Jörmungand, the world serpent coiling around the world itself, its wrath keen and insatiable. Its scales, black as night, shimmered with malice, a reflection of the discord brewing in the cosmos. "Today, I will confront the serpent," Thor declared, his voice a low growl that resonated with conviction. His mighty hammer, Mjolnir, rested against his broad shoulder, crackling with the energy of thunder. He felt the weight of his destiny, a mantle he bore with honor, yet the thought churned like a storm in Midgard. At his side stood Sif, his fierce companion, golden hair billowing like sunlit wheat, eyes blazing with determination. "You do not face this beast alone, Thor. I will stand with you, as always," she replied, her voice steady despite the tremors of fear that echoed in her heart. As the villagers gathered, their faces drawn and pale, the air thickened with a palpable tension. The cries of children mingled with the prayers of the desperate, seeking divine intervention against the impending disaster. But Thor knew that divine intervention was not the answer today. Action was required, and he would be the harbinger of that action. "Let us gather the warriors," he commanded, his voice rising above the din, a beacon of hope amidst despair. "Today, we shall forge a path through the fog of fear and face the serpent that threatens our land." With fierce resolve, Thor and Sif rallied the bravest souls of Midgard. As the sun dipped lower, casting an ominous glow over the land, they assembled in numbers, a patchwork of warriors, farmers, and artisans, all drawn by the call of valor. Among them was Rolf, a young blacksmith, whose forge had been quenched by the serpent's wrath. "I will not stand idle while my home is devoured," he declared, clutching a sword forged from his own hands, a blade that gleamed with the promise of vengeance. The air crackled with anticipation as they marched toward the jagged cliffs overlooking the churning sea. The waves crashed like a symphony of chaos, each roar promising the arrival of doom. As they reached the precipice, a heavy fog descended, thick and unnatural, wrapping around their legs like the fingers of death itself. "The serpent is near," Sif whispered, her senses heightened. "It is as if the very realm is holding its breath." Thor stepped forward, his heart pounding against his ribcage. "Let the fog not blind us, but guide us. We are not mere mortals. We are Valkyries and warriors, bound by honor and the call of battle." With a mighty swing of Mjolnir, he struck the earth, creating a shockwave that sent ripples through the fog, revealing glimpses of the raging sea below. The fog twisted and writhed, and from its depths emerged the serpent, a gargantuan figure, glistening and terrifying, its eyes burning like twin suns. Jörmungand was a creature of nightmare, a harbinger of the end times, and today, it would rise to meet the thunder god in a cataclysmic clash. Bold Thor, the serpent hissed, its voice a cacophony of slithering whispers. "You tread where mortals do not belong. Turn back now, and I may spare your insignificant kind. I fear not your threats, beast." Thor bellowed, his voice a rallying call to the warriors behind him. "You shall feel the weight of my hammer. For every life you threaten, I will strike, and your end is nigh." The fog thickened, swelling with malevolence, and a dreadful silence descended as the two titans faced each other. Sif reached for Thor's arm, grounding him as the tension crackled in the air. "Do not let your anger blind you, husband. Strategy and valor must guide your hand." With a nod, Thor steadied his breath, drawing upon the essence of the storm. The wind answered his call, swelling around him as he wielded Mjolnir with resolve. "We strike together," he said to his warriors, "for honor, for our homes, and for Midgard." The serpent lunged, its massive body twisting through the air, jaws gaping wide, revealing rows of fangs that dripped with venomous intent. With a roar that echoed across the cliffs, Thor hurled Mjolnir, the hammer arcing through the air like a comet striking true against the serpent's scaled hide. The air erupted with thunder, and the ground shook beneath the force of the impact. Yet Jörmungand was not so easily vanquished. With the flick of its tail, it sent a shockwave through the earth, knocking warriors to their knees while Thor teetered, his footing momentarily lost. "Strike true, my friends," he bellowed, pulling himself upright. "Do not falter." The battle raged on, a frenetic dance of chaos and fury. Warriors surged, swords glinting in the dim light, the cries mingling with the roar of the ocean. Sif struck with grace, her blade finding chinks in the serpent's armor, while Rolf fought valiantly beside her, his blacksmith strength igniting the courage of the flagging horse around him. But amidst the clash of steel and the screeches of the serpent, a foreboding presence loomed. The fog twisted, darkening the skies, and Thor felt a chill crawl down his spine. "What sorcery is this?" he shouted as shadows crept across the battlefield, obscuring vision and warping reality. Suddenly, the fog took form, revealing a figure cloaked in shadows, a visage both familiar and alien. It was Loki, the trickster god, a being of chaos who reveled in discord. "Ah, Thor, noble and foolish," he called, his voice laced with mockery. "Do you not see the futility of your struggle against destiny? This serpent is but a pawn in a game far graver. Loki, your games have brought enough suffering." Thor roared, fury igniting within him. "This is not the time for your treachery." Loki smirked, his presence weaving through the fog like a serpent itself. "But what is battle without chaos? Embrace it. Dear brother, let it guide you to your end." As Jörmungand coiled, preparing for another strike, Thor's heart pounded with dread that twisted like a noose around his soul. The fog thickened, swallowing his warriors, obscuring their cries in a sea of confusion. "Stay close," he shouted, but the words were lost in the cacophony. In that moment of darkness, he felt the weight of destiny bearing down, a reminder that the fates of gods and mortals were intertwined. A vision pierced through the fog, a glimpse of Ragnarok, the end of all things. The serpent would rise, and chaos would reign if he could not vanquish it. With grit and determination, Thor raised Mjolnir high, summoning the storm within him. "Let the thunder roar," he cried, channeling all his might into a single strike. "Let the will of the gods collide with the fate that looms." Fog parted, revealing the serpent once more, poised to strike. In that instant, Thor gathered every ounce of strength, igniting the air with electric power. The skies darkened, thunder crackled, and he hurled Mjolnir with the force of 10,000 storms. The hammer soared, a streak of light in the abyss, aimed with divine precision. Time slowed as it connected with Jörmungand's maul, the impact reverberating like a celestial bell, echoing across the realms as the battle reached its climax. As the dust settled and the fog began to unravel, the world held its breath, watching as the fate of gods and mortals hung in the balance. Thor, standing resolute, awaited the outcome of his strike, knowing that the clash with the serpent was but a prelude to a greater war, one that could rewrite the annals of time itself. Little did he know, the fog had not yet revealed all its secrets, and the true battle for Midgard was only just beginning. As the dust settled around the battlefield, the cries of warriors faded into an ominous silence, broken only by the distant rumble of thunder. Fog began to recede, revealing the form of Jörmungand, coiled and massive, its scales glistening as it attempted to rise from the earth, wounded but not defeated. Thor tightened his grip around Mjolnir, his heart racing as he felt the weight of impending doom hovering over him. "Is this the power of a god?" the serpent hissed, its voice a thunderous echo that sent tremors through the assembled warriors. "You strike with fury, but your heart is burdened by doubt. You cannot escape your destiny, Thor. Fate may weave its threads, but I am the weaver of my own destiny." Thor roared back, power surging through him, igniting the storm that danced in the skies above. The winds howled in response, whipping around him as if the very elements rallied to his cause. "I will not stand idly by while you poison the roots of Midgard." With newfound determination, Thor surged forward, lightning crackling around him like a living thing. He felt Sif at his side, her presence a steady flame in the chaos. "We will end this together, my love," she declared, her voice fierce. Yet the moment of unity was soon overshadowed by sinister laughter. Loki emerged from the fog, a spectre of chaos wrapped in shadows. "Oh, but what is a tale without betrayal?" he taunted, his eyes glinting with mischief. "Do you not see, the serpent is merely a reflection of your own flaws, a manifestation of your struggle against fate? Enough of your riddles, Loki." Thor spat, fury igniting in his chest. "You would cast shadows where light must shine. Your treachery has brought us here. Do you not feel the weight of it?" Loki's laughter echoed, a sound that chilled the very marrow in Thor's bones. "What a noble sentiment, yet it is you who must bear the burden of this fight. Your choices have led you here. Do you dare to defy destiny?" While Loki's words curled around them like a vine of poison, Jörmungand prepared to strike once more. The serpent's massive tail slammed against the ground, creating fissures that snaked through the earth, sending warriors tumbling. Thor's resolve faltered for a heartbeat. The serpent was a cataclysm unleashed. "Stand fast," he bellowed, wheeling Mjolnir to summon a tempest of wind. "For Midgard, for honor." The warriors rallied, bolstered by his declaration. Their fear transformed into a collective roar that rang across the cliffs. With a ferocious cry, the serpent lunged, its jaws wide, teeth glinting like daggers in the dim light. Thor leaped forward, and Elnar raised high, and as the serpent's maw descended, he unleashed a thunderous blow, the air crackling as lightning erupted from the hammer. The impact sent shockwaves rippling through the air, momentarily stunning Jörmungand. "This ends now," Thor shouted, feeling the pulse of power surge through him, the very essence of the storm. He struck again, aiming for the serpent's vulnerable underbelly, with the scales within it. But Jörmungand was cunning, its serpentine body twisting and coiling, deflecting Thor's second blow. "You are strong, Thunderer, but strength alone will not save you," it hissed, venom dripping from its fangs, the scent of decay filling the air. "Strength is nothing without her," Thor replied, his voice roaring like the tempest around him. In that moment, he drew upon the power of those who stood with him, the villagers, the warriors, the friends, each breath fueling his resolve. "I fight not for mere survival, but for the promise of a tomorrow." The serpent, sensing the surge of power, recoiled, its eyes narrowing in malice. Then faced the consequences of your defiance. It snarled, slamming its tail again, sending a shockwave that scattered the warriors like autumn leaves. But Thor remained resolute, rooted to the ground as the earth shook beneath him. The storm inside him swelled, and he called upon his allies, his voice rising over the cacophony. "Warriors of Midgard, stand together, our bond is our strength." Sif, undeterred by the chaos, charged beside him, her sword glinting in the fading light. "Let us strike as one," she cried, rallying Rolf and the others. Together, they formed a line against the encroaching serpent, their weapons raised high, their spirits intertwined. As the serpent lunged again, Thor swung Elnar with all his might, a bolt of lightning illuminating the battlefield. The hammer connected with the creature's side, sending it reeling, but the serpent's retaliation was swift and fierce. Jörmungand thrashed in rage, its tail sweeping like a gale, scattering warriors and sending their cries into the darkening night. "Hold the line," Sif shouted, her voice a beacon of strength as she fought beside Rolf, helping him rise again. "For our kin, for our home." But as they fought, the fog thickened once more, wrapping around them like a shroud, suffocating their resolve. Loki's laughter echoed, a siren's song of doubt. "Can you not see? The odds are stacked against you. You might as well surrender." "Silence, trickster." Thor bellowed, the fog swirling around him, but he would not yield. "I will forge my path through this darkness." In a moment of clarity, he reached deep within himself, summoning the memories of his mother, the strength of his father, the camaraderie of the warriors beside him. Their spirits ignited his heart, fueling his resolve. "For every life he threatened, Jörmungand, I will strike, and your end is nigh." With a roar that shook the heavens, he hurled Elnar with unprecedented fury. It soared through the fog, a comet of divine wrath aimed at the heart of the beast. In that instant, time slowed, the world holding its breath, and as it struck true, the serpent's scream echoed like the tolling of doom. The impact unleashed a blinding flash of light, illuminating the darkness, driving the fog into retreat. Jörmungand writhed in agony, scales cracking, venomous blood spilling across the earth-like dark rain. But the battle was far from over. The serpent, with its dying breath, lashed out one final time. It struck at Thor, jaws wide, poised to deliver a crushing blow. In that heartbeat, Sif leaped forward, her sword thrusting into the serpent's maw, a desperate act of valor. "You will not take him from me," she cried, the strength of her love igniting a fire within Thor's heart. In that moment of sacrifice, Elnar crackled with renewed energy, and Thor felt the bond of their love forge his resolve anew. Together, he roared, channeling the storm, summoning the fury of the skies. With a mighty pull, he reclaimed Elnar from its impact and swung it once more, this time with the strength of the collective will of Midgard behind him. "Your terror ends here." The hammer crackled with primal energy as it struck Jörmungand's head, a cacophony of thunder erupting into the night. The serpent convulsed, its body thrashing against the cliffs before falling limp defeated. As echoes of combat faded and the storm began to settle, Thor dropped to his knees, breathless and spent, but victorious. Fog retreated, revealing the battered but resolute warriors standing beside him, their faces alight with triumph and disbelief. Sif rushed to him, her eyes glistening with both tears and triumph. "We did it, Thor. We faced the darkness together." But as the victory settled over them like a warm embrace, a whisper of uncertainty tugged at Thor's heart. Loki's laughter still lingered like a ghost. "This cannot be the end," he murmured, gazing at the horizon where shadows danced ominously. The battle was won, but the war was only just beginning. The echoes of Ragnarok loomed nearer, and as the mist cleared, Thor knew their next challenge awaited, one that would test their bonds, their honor, and their very existence in the realms of gods and men. "Prepare yourselves," he called to the warriors, rising to his feet, and Elnir crackling in his grasp. "For the storm within us has only just begun. Together, we will face what comes next, for we are the shield of Midgard." And with that, the warriors, emboldened by the heart of their thunder god, readied themselves for the trials ahead, knowing that their destiny was intertwined and their legacies yet to be forged. As the fog lifted like a curtain pulled back from a grand stage, the battlefield of Midgard lay strewn with the remnants of a fierce struggle, a testament to the indomitable spirit of its defenders. The scales of Jörmungand, once a fierce and black glimmer, now lay dulled in defeat, reflecting the flickering light of torches held aloft by the warriors who had rallied under Thor's banner. They stood united, bloody yet unbowed, facing the remnants of a battle that had only begun to reveal its cost. Yet in the stillness that followed the chaos, a deeper menace lingered. Loki's voice, like a serpent's hiss, echoed in the corners of Thor's mind. "You may have won the day, brother, but the threads of fate are not so easily unwoven. The game has only just begun." The weight of those words hung heavily on Thor's heart, casting a shadow over the hard-won victory. "Thor." Sif's urgent call broke through his storm of thoughts. She was kneeling beside the fallen serpent, her hands trembling as she brushed aside the thick fog of venom that lingered, trying to discern the truth beyond the monster's corpse. "We must ensure it is truly defeated. There may be more to this than we understand." Rolf and the other warriors approached, their faces marked by exhaustion and disbelief. "But we struck it down, Thor," Rolf said, his voice hoarse from the battle. "Is it truly gone?" "I fear the darkness is never so easily vanquished," Thor replied, rising to his feet, Elnir gripped tightly in hand. The sky above him had turned an eerie shade of grey, as though the clouds themselves were mourning the serpent's defeat, adding weight to the foreboding sense of dread that gnawed at his gut. Just as he began to assess the battlefield, the ground trembled, a deep, reverberating growl emanating from the depths of the earth. A collective gasp swept through the warriors, eyes wide with trepidation. "Great Odin, what now?" Sif's voice cracked, her sword poised defensively. From the fissure in the ground, a radiant light began to pulse, illuminating the faces of the warriors with a spectral glow. It grew brighter, swirling like an ethereal vortex, and the air crackled with raw energy. Thor stepped forward, feeling the charge in the atmosphere resonate within him. "Stand ready," he commanded, steeling himself for whatever emerged. The light twisted and flickered, revealing shadowy figures, spirits rising from the depths, entangled in chains of dark energy. They were the souls of fallen warriors, lost to the chaos of the serpent's reign. "Thor," one spirit cried out, its voice echoing with torment. "We are bound to this realm, cursed to wander until you face the true serpent of fate. It is not Jörmungand that you must fear, but the darkness that lies beyond." The spirit's words sent chill waves through the assembled warriors, igniting the fire of urgency within Thor's heart. "The true serpent," Thor murmured, piecing together the fragments of fate that Loki had hinted at. "The darkness that lies beyond." The implications were grave. His victory over the serpent was merely the first act in a far larger tragedy, one that threatened to consume not just Midgard, but the very fabric of existence. "Listen well," he bellowed, rallying his warriors around him, his voice a clarion call. "The battle may be won, but our journey is far from over. We must seek out this darkness and confront whatever fate has in store for us." The spirits surged forth, their chains rattling like the bones of the earth itself. To the Well of Erd, one shouted, its voice a haunting echo. "There you will find the Norns, the weavers of fate. They will reveal the path you must take." "The Well of Erd," Sif whispered, her eyes alight with understanding. "The sacred well where the fate of all beings is woven. If we seek guidance, it must be there." "Then we ride," Thor shouted, the fire of battle igniting anew within him. "Gather your strength, warriors, we march to the Well of Erd, and we will demand our destiny." That rallying cry propelled them forward, hearts beating as one, the warriors of Midgard taking out their weapons once more. They traversed through the remnants of the battlefield, the fallen serpent lying still behind them as they moved towards the distant mountains, where the Well of Erd awaited. Hours passed, and as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of crimson and gold, Thor felt the pulse of urgency within him. The anticipation of unknown trials ahead weighed heavily on his shoulders, but he pressed on, fueled by the conviction of purpose. As they ascended the rocky cliffs, the air turned frigid, a shroud of mist enveloped them again, reminiscent of the fog that had heralded Jörmungand's arrival. "This mist, it feels alive," Rolf muttered, fear creeping into his voice. "What trickery is this?" Fear not the fog, Sif urged, her eyes scanning the horizon. It knows not who we are warriors of Midgard. At last, they reached a plateau where the well of earth bubbled with crystalline water, surrounded by ancient roots that twisted like serpents. The atmosphere shimmered with magic, a palpable energy thrumming through the air. The Nont, Thor called, kneeling before the well, feeling the weight of destiny press upon him. And then, from the shadows, 3 figures emerged, ethereal and majestic. The Norns, clad in robes woven from the very fabric of fate, their faces obscured by shadows, but their presence radiating wisdom. Thor, son of Odin, one spoke, her voice deep and resonant like the echoes of time itself. You seek knowledge of your path. I do, Thor replied, his heart pounding with reverence. The serpent I have slain is but a glimpse of a darkness that looms. I must know how to confront it, to protect Midgard and the realms beyond. The second Norn stepped forward, her voice a soothing melody. Your victory is but a ripple in the tapestry of fate, Thunderer. The true serpent lies in the hearts of men and gods alike, the chaos that breathes in shadows and despair. Then tell me how to defeat it. Thor implored, desperation threading through his tone. Guide my hand, and I will wield it against the darkness. The third Norn, her eyes bright with the starfire of destiny, met his gaze firmly. To conquer the darkness, you must first embrace it. Seek not to rid the world of shadows, but to understand them. In unity, you will find strength, and in sacrifice, you will find purpose. But how? Thor questioned, frustration bubbling within him. How can I lead my people against an enemy they cannot see? The Norns exchanged solemn glances, their ethereal forms shimmering with wisdom. You must gather the spirits of the fallen, the warriors lost to despair, for they are the key to unraveling the chaos. Their strength must be rekindled, their bonds unbroken. And with that, the Norns raised their hands, and a rush of energy enveloped Thor, a torrent of memories and visions flooding his mind, the faces of those who had fought and died in battles long forgotten, their sacrifices echoing through history. Rise, Thor, the first Norn urged. You have the power to weave a new tapestry, one of hope and unity, but be warned every choice has its cost. As the Norns faded back into the mist, Thor felt the weight of their words settle upon him, a burden mixed with hope. He turned to Sif, Rolf, and the warriors gathered around him, their faces reflecting the uncertainty of the journey ahead. Together, we will summon the spirits of the fallen, he declared, eyes blazing with determination. We will honor their sacrifices and rekindle the light that darkness seeks to extinguish. Our next battle will be one of unity and remembrance. With hearts ignited and spirits renewed, they descended from the plateau, a bond forged in the crucible of chaos. The path ahead would be fraught with challenges, but they would face them together, warriors of Midgard, champions against the encroaching darkness and the harbingers of their own destiny. As the last rays of sunlight faded into the horizon, the fog rolled back over the land like an omen, a reminder of the trials yet to be faced. But in the hearts of the warriors burned a flame of hope, a flicker against the abyss, and they marched forth, ready to confront whatever fate had in store for them. As the warriors of Midgard descended from the sacred heights of the Well of Erd, their spirits entwined with purpose, the air crackled with an energy that hinted at the trials ahead. The fog, thick and oppressive, swirled around them, echoing with whispers of the past memories of those who had fallen, the weight of sacrifice heavy on their shoulders. Thor led the march, and Elna glowing faintly at his side, a beacon amidst the encroaching shadows. Stay close, he urged, his voice firm against the rising winds. We tread a path fraught with danger, but our hearts are united. We carry the legacy of the fallen. We will not let their sacrifices be in vain. Rolf, the young blacksmith, walked beside Sif, drawing strength from the presence of the thunder god. What will it take to summon the spirits? He asked, the question hanging heavy in the air. How do we honor those who fell against Jörmungand? They must be called with reverence, Sif replied, her gaze steady. Their spirits linger in the echoes of the past, tied to the land and the grief of their kin. We must remind them of their valor, ignite their memories with our own courage. As they traversed the landscape, the fog began to thin, revealing a sprawling valley once filled with the laughter of children and the warmth of hearts, now a desolate place scarred by the remnants of war. The echoes of lost lives reverberated like a distant drumbeat, a somber reminder of what was at stake. Here, Thor halted at the center of the valley, where the earth felt alive beneath their feet. This is where we shall summon the spirits. We will invoke their strength, and they will guide us in our darkest hour. The warriors gathered in a circle, their faces set with determination. The remnants of the fallen were palpable, a weight that pressed upon them like a storm. Sif raised her sword high, its blade gleaming even in the dim light. We honor those who stood before us. We call upon the spirits of our kin, lost in battle, for they are the heart of our fight. Let their names echo on the winds. Thor boomed, his voice roaring like thunder, reverberating across the valley. For every life extinguished, we carry their flame forward. Come forth, great warriors of the past, join us in our stand against the darkness. As the words left his lips, the air shifted, a ripple of energy coursing through the land. The fog thickened, swirling and coiling like a living thing, and from its depths shadows began to emerge, flickering into existence, warriors clad in the armor of old, their faces grim but resolute. Who dares summon the fallen? The voice thundered, deep and resonant, echoing from the shadows. The spectral forms coalesced, appearing before the living, a council of the brave, their eyes burning with the memories of their sacrifices. It is I, Thor, son of Odin. Thor proclaimed, stepping forward, his heart pounding with reverence. We seek your strength as we face a darkness that threatens all realms. Your sacrifices have not been forgotten. We fight for Midgard, for honor, for your legacy. And what of our legacy? Another spirit questioned, stepping forth, an ancient warrior who had once faced the serpent in ages past. Will you uphold the valor we left behind, or are you but shadows of our former glory? Thor met the warrior's gaze, the weight of his past heavy upon him. We are the torchbearers of your legacy. We will not let your sacrifices fade into oblivion. Together, we will confront the darkness that binds us all. At his words, the fog swirled and coiled around them, whispering secrets of battles long forgotten. The spirits seemed to hesitate, their forms flickering like candlelight in the wind, but then, one by one, they stepped forward, an ethereal bond forming between the living and the dead. We shall lend you our strength, Thor, the ancient warrior declared, his voice imbued with a sense of urgency. But the darkness you face is shrouded in deception. Be vigilant, for not all that glitters is gold. Alliances may become betrayals. But let the truth guide us, Thor replied, his heart steeled with determination. We will face whatever comes next together. Your wisdom will not go unheeded. As the spirits merged with the living warriors, a surge of energy pulsed through the air, igniting the valley with an otherworldly light. Strengthened by the memories of the fallen, they stood poised for the challenges ahead, emboldened by the bonds of unity forged anew. But the tranquility was short-lived. The ground trembled violently, sending shockwaves rippling through their ranks. What now? Rolf shouted, panic creeping into his voice. The serpent stirs, the darkness awakens. With a deafening roar, a fissure erupted in the earth, and from its depths rose a monstrous form, an avatar of chaos and despair, a creature born from the very essence of nightmares. It was a serpent unlike any other, its body adorned with the faces of the fallen, whispering their sorrows in a cacophony of despair. Fools that hiss, its voice a chilling blend of the lost souls it encompassed. You dare challenge the true serpent born of fate. I am the embodiment of your fears, your regrets. You cannot defeat that which resides within you. Hold steady, Thor commanded, feeling the pulse of the earth beneath him. This is no mere beast. It is the manifestation of our doubts, our failures. We shall strike through the darkness of our hearts. The warriors, now emboldened by the spirits, rallied around Thor, their resolve ignited. For the fallen, they shouted, gripping their weapons with renewed strength. For Midgard. Sif stood beside Thor, her sword gleaming, eyes fierce. We will not back down. This is our battle, and we shall face it together. Strike true, my kin. As the monstrous serpent lunged, its maw gaping wide, Thor raised Mjolnir high, summoning the storm within him. Let the thunder roar, he cried, hurling the hammer into the maelstrom of chaos. Thunder cracked across the valley, a symphony of power and fury. The impact resounded like a celestial bell, a shockwave cascading through the air that sent the creature reeling. Yet, even as it faltered, the serpent hissed, its voice a haunting echo within their minds. You do not understand. You cannot kill what resides in your very souls. Then we must confront it. Thor shouted back, his voice a beacon against the encroaching darkness. We face our fears head-on, and together, we will banish them. The warriors surged forward, united as one. Rolf, emboldened by the spirits, struck with ferocity, his blade gleaming in the dim light. I fight for those who cannot fight, for the sons and daughters of Midgard, he shouted, as he thrust his sword into the shadowy mass. Sif and the other warriors followed, the clash of steel ringing out a chorus of resilience against despair. Each blow struck not only flesh, but the very essence of fear that coiled around them. The serpent writhed, its form shifting between monstrous and ethereal, the faces of the lost flickering in its scales. Embrace your light, Sif cried, her voice cutting through the darkness. We are not alone. We carry the strength of those who fought before us. With each strike, the shadows began to recede, revealing the true forms of the fallen brave souls who stood resolute, their spirits intertwining with the living. The battle transformed from chaos to harmony, each warrior fueled by the memories of their kin. Thor felt Mjolnir surge with power, resonating with the harmony of their fight. "We will forge a new destiny," he roared, summoning the storm, lightning crackling around him like a living entity. "Together, we can overcome." As the serpent lunged again, its maw agape, Thor unleashed a torrent of energy, striking with the full force of the storm. "Feel the might of the gods," he thundered, channeling the essence of the fallen into a single blow. The impact resonated through the valley, an explosion of light and sound that shattered the darkness, scattering the shadows like leaves in the wind. The serpent's anguished cries filled the air, reverberating with the souls of the fallen, the echoes of their strength intertwining with the resolve of the living. "Now," Sif shouted, rallying the warriors around Thor. "Strike as one, for honor, for Midgard." With one final surge of collective strength, they struck, blades raised high, Mjolnir shining bright. The serpent writhed violently, but it could not withstand the force of their unity. As the energy surged, the creature let out a final, tormented wail, its form disintegrating into a shower of light. In that moment, the valley erupted in brilliance, the darkness shattered, the whispers of despair silenced. The spirits of the fallen surged forward, their faces alight with pride and gratitude, merging with the living to form a radiant beacon of hope. "We did it!" Rolf exclaimed, breathless, as he felt his knees overwhelmed.